Hey guys, you
Hi,
guys hear me?
Rafael.
What's
How you
up?
What's
doing,
up?
my friend?
Doing great. How are you?
I've got my drink too. Hold on. I'm gonna drink too. I'm gonna
It's
drink to
just
this.
IT. Relax.
Oh, so I'm
I can go
alone?
get some. I can go get something hard if you.
Yeah, let's drink to
Really
it.
want to get done. Really? Okay, great. Let's go. All right, give me 5 seconds. I'll go get. I'll
Okay,
go get some whiskey.
I bought this months ago and I haven't had a chance to drink it yet because I actually don't drink anymore. But this is a good reason. Maybe it's a good reason.
Like
Maybe
I said,
it's a good
celebrating too early. Celebrating too early.
We are, well, I'm not celebrating. I'm having a drink to the fact that the people in Argentina want somebody in charge that is ready to fight socialism. I think that's what they've been sold on, but that's what we're here to discuss, I guess.
Got the Talisker 10.
Nice. Single malt. I approve.
I'd like to keep a nice bottle around. I say it's for the best of times, the worst of times, and when I'm sick.
Bam!
Right on. Right on.
I'm excited, guys. I'm excited
know
for the
you are.
series. This is
I
great.
know you are. Cheers. Cheers to Argentina.
Yeah. Hey, happy. Yes. Thank you. Thank God.
The first country in the world to have an ANCAP. Well, he says he's an ANCAP president, right? Is that what you call it in Argentina? Is it a president? Or is
Well,
it
yeah, it's a president. See, I don't care about anything other than that. You know, I think that game has already been won. Like the moment someone has to ask that question of like, what's an ANCAP? That's when it's game over. The fact that he just put that word out there is enough for me to say that this is a victorious moment for us, and it doesn't matter what he does or doesn't do. I think that the most baller move would be for him to just drop the mic and walk away and say, this is all bullshit. I was just here to teach you.
I agree.
I'm out.
That would be badass.
That would be the best thing for him to do.
So thanks, guys. I quit.
I thought it was ironic that, you know, somebody that says that he wants to take down the state, you know, goes for a position of power within the state. It just doesn't add up. But if he does what you say, sure.
Yeah.
Will he do that? I don't think so.
I don't
think obviously.
No. But Raph, don't you think that if he comes out at, you know, he's an ANCAP, he's a libertarian, right? He puts those ideas out there. You say that's a win. On its own, it's a win. But what if he were to do something that just destroyed the country even more, not in a communist way, and then, you know, the people that just heard an ANCAP, this is what they think it is. They've looked into it, and now this ANCAP has destroyed Argentina and made it worse. Wouldn't that hurt? Wouldn't that be a bad thing?
Yeah. I think any one of us could be a bad ambassador for what we believe in, right? And I think that, you know, if I'm caught up in some controversy someday, I hope not, you know, I think that would be bad for everything I stand for as well. But I think that anyone that is discerning and smart will look beyond character flaws or political gossip or actual deeds of the person, actual deeds. Like, I think the smartest of people will always gravitate towards ideas. And that to me is what's most important, ideas. And the whole point of everything that we do is to lead people to find that empowerment within themselves. And that's really what I think matters most. Everything else is just, to me, pointless. Yes, there will be like low IQ people that you know, he's not perfect, and someone that is, and none of us are perfect, and so people will say that no matter what he does, even if he becomes the worst of tyrants, it shouldn't matter, is my point.
But can he tarnish the ANCAP idea, you know, just as quickly as he brings it up?
No, because the ANCAP idea has nothing to do with him. That's the whole point. The whole point of like the ANCAP idea is that it has to do with us, with people watching this right now. It's like, what do you do with your life? What's your outlook on life? Do you are you pursuing freedom for yourself and those around you, or are you just giving into this world of enslavement? You know, are you are you going back into working for a bureaucratic position just because it's beneficial for you, and you're not thinking about, there's so many.
I think most ANCAPs probably have it in their head that right off the bat that they're going to be suspicious of this guy because like you said, that we all kind of realize that the best way forward is through educating the masses, through passing on the message, converting people one by one, or waking them up one by one, and really just ultimately, like Larkin Rose said, if all the people who voted this guy in instead were just to go, hey, you know what, let's just ignore this whole apparatus, right? Let's go about our lives and just ignore these fuckers, right? Then that's the way that I think most ANCAPs would want to see the way forward. So here comes this guy who says he's an ANCAP, and he takes over the apparatus.
Well,
he says to vote for him. Vote for him. Support the system.
Well, wait,
just make me in charge.
He's not an ANCAP like an agorist. So he's a libertarian. He sees himself, practically speaking, as a minarchist, but philosophically he's an ANCAP, and there are many people like that.
Yeah,
he's not the only one.
I think you're right. I think you're right about that. There are people.
And if I were to go into politics ever, which I never will, it's pointless. That's the way I would dress it up, as the same. I would do the same thing.
So let's talk about how much success do you think he could have, assuming he's not a deep state agent, which everybody watching this is probably thinking he is, right?
Yeah.
But assuming he's not, how much success do you think he could have through politics, through the political?
I mean, if you look at Latin American politics, have always swung on a pendulum from extreme to extreme throughout history. So if you look at something from like Chile, right? They had communism, and then they had fascism, right? Complete.
But those aren't extremes, though. Those are different flavors of socialism, right?
Right, correct. Yeah. But for the people are used to those movements, is what I'm trying to tell you. They're used to being those
radical.
Movements.
They're used to being radical. They're radicalized.
So they're used to having strong movements. So I think that look, Milei had no reason to win. He was against the whole establishment. There was
it was quite a surprise to me.
Yeah, people were expecting this to have been stolen, and the reason why it wasn't stolen is because they had there was a strong mobilization of people to protect the vote at the to protect the ballot box. So it was a surprise that he won. It really is still shocking that he won. He wasn't supposed to win. Yeah. And it just goes to show you that.
But they said the same about Trump, just to throw that out there.
No. But see, he's not Trump.
I know. I'm just saying the fact that he won by.
Trump is not really an outsider.
No, I know. I'm just saying
Trump was never really an outsider.
The fact that he won by surprise, I don't think it holds any weight. It's just like
no. It's like if no. It's exactly the reason why Trump won was because the election was stolen from Ron Paul. You guys have to remember the reason why. See what happened with Ron Paul is that the Republican Party changed their own rules on the spot to keep Ron Paul and his delegates out.
Yeah.
So what happened was that Donald Trump came in, took advantage of the fact that those rules were changed because of Ron Paul in the previous cycle, and he came in and he took advantage of what they had done. So,
well, I would add to that Trump also sort of piggybacked on the Ron Paul revolution, right?
Oh yeah, and Trump, whereas Milei's rhetoric is not just libertarian, because a lot of people would say that Trump is libertarian. No, Milei is an anarchist. Like Trump his rhetoric is anarcho
for sure.
capitalist.
The rhetoric is
You know,
different.
yeah.
I'm not saying, never
Yeah.
said, they're the same that way.
Just
I do-
FYI, FYI, we probably all agree on most things here. So if we are disagreeing on anything, it's just we're playing devil's advocate against each other. So,
Yeah, just trying to get the bottom of things.
yeah.
I think that Ron Paul really brought the conversation to the people here, and that's led to like the last 10 years of chaos. And now Malay is bringing that conversation not just to Argentina, but like all of South America. Like, and not just the conversation, but specifying what is a liberal, what is a liberal in America, what is a libertarian, what is, what do these words mean? And he's able to enunciate it very clearly when he speaks. And that I've never heard someone be able to clearly, a politician be able to clearly enunciate the differences.
Yeah.
Like, and that's going to make people think, well, what is the difference between a liberal and a libertarian? And then they have to look it up, and they have Google. It's like, if a big argument is, well, no one in Argentina knows what a libertarian is. Like, they have Google in Argentina. People are going to research now.
Well, that's kind of the interesting thing about Malay too, is that because when you say things like libertarianism and these are ethics, these are ethical systems, right? Like libertarianism is an actual moral system, and it's no surprise that most politicians probably don't know the nuances and differentiating between, like up here in Canada we have a party called the Progressive Conservatives, and I'm the PC, Progressive Conservatives, and I'm sure that nobody understands the irony or the what's the word called where that I'm looking for, where it's
oxymoron.
That's it. Yeah.
You guys are right. Milei is an incredible communicator, and I think, to me, he won even if he would have lost, because he changed the mindset of people. People know that politics is a machinery of theft, and he went a step further, where he called out the central banks, and he said the central banks need to be abolished, all of them. They're good for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, he didn't say end the Fed, he said I will destroy the central bank.
And he said he's going to wipe his ass with the state.
It's done. Yeah, and he's only going to keep like he sees like. So the most important thing for anyone like Milei or Ron Paul to do is to educate, to use that platform to educate. And Milei has already accomplished that. Anything that he does moving forward is going to be in line with that.
Could he
doesn't matter what he does or doesn't.
Well, but okay, but Rafael,
the nuance here,
I agree that
the difficulty here is that he's playing politics. So for a libertarian or an anarcho-capitalist, the fact that he's just in politics to begin with is like, what the fuck are you doing?
Right.
Exactly.
So like, okay, so in my view, I can't see how this could hurt Argentina any worse. It's been through a whole lot of stuff, and it's and I don't think there is a middle class. Is there a middle class in Argentina of any weight? Right?
Over 40% are in poverty.
Inflation. This is the thing about
15% are in the streets.
Okay, and this is the thing this is the thing about central banking and inflation and in the inflationism that they bring. It's just, if you look at history, central banks are relatively new, last couple 100 years, right? And the authoritarians have learned how to use these tools to steal from the people, to steal their savings, and they do it to the point where in some countries they've literally wiped out middle classes, right? Entire middle class. So I don't see how Argentina can lose from having a guy like Milei, whether he's deep state or not. But I do wonder, let me ask you this, could he tarnish what ANCAPs stand for?
No.
If he is,
there's no way. Nope. There's just no way, because anarcho-capitalism is something that is removed from politics. So he
It
is
should be,
literally,
but he's not.
no, it is. No, but he's
But he's
just
not.
someone that like, I'll give you an example. I went to a March for Life protest when I was in college, probably like 2011. And it was actually like 2009 actually. And I was dating this girl from around, from like, she was from Seattle, and we went, and there was a guy holding up a sign that read, this was 2008, 2007. And he was holding up a sign that said anarcho-capitalist for life now. And I'm like, what is that? He was standing in front of the White House, said anarcho-capitalist for life. I'd never heard of the term. And I literally went up to the guy. I'm like, what is it? And he told me, and that changed my world. Like I could not stop thinking about that guy. You see what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
what's an anarcho-capitalist? That
Well,
to me
just
was
FYI, Ron Paul doesn't call himself an anarcho-capitalist.
right, correct.
Right.
Even though he thinks it's a great idea, all right?
He thinks it's a great idea.
Keep in mind that we're talking about a species that might just be going extinct right now. Argentinians are over 90% vaccinated,
including Malay.
They were so crazy about the vaccine that they would, even because something happened within their own bureaucracy, they lost track of the vaccines, and a lot of if you had the means to leave the country, the upper class people of the ruling class would literally travel to another country to get vaccinated. That was like, and then they would just come and show off like, oh, I got vaccinated in Miami. I went to get vaccinated in Barcelona. Like that was the mindsets, right? So Argentina, I mean, will there be Argentinians in 10 years, in 20 years?
Well, so
that's a real question to ask.
So
I don't know.
Well, okay. So on that note, that's a very good question. So so are Argentinians, how aware are they about Milei and what he stands for? So are they voting in this guy because they're just sick of the inflation and the establishment?
That's what I think.
That's pretty much it.
Are they?
They're desperate. I think they're desperate.
So they're not voting in. They're not voting in a libertarian because he stands for libertarianism.
I don't think so. I think we all here, we would like to hope that, judging by, Raf's story, how he got into being an Ancap. I think that's what we want to hear. We want to believe that the people are hearing these ideas and they're going out and they're buying Mises books and they're reading Rothbard. We want to believe that. And I'm sure it is. No,
I don't believe
I'm
that.
sure it is happening, but I don't think it's happening on a large scale at all. And then,
but do you need to read Mises and Rothbard to understand what socialism is and how evil it is?
I think most people just want to live their life. And when they've been screwed so bad, like they have been in Argentina for a while, they just want to break. They just want to break. And, people have full lives. They have children, they have work, they have the problems, they have things to deal with. There very few people go deep into the philosophy of the kind of topics that we talk about here. It's not a large part of the population by no means.
He would have never ever have gotten anywhere near the presidency if he would have been against the vaccines. Just know that in Argentina, there's no
But doesn't that say something about
against?
Doesn't that say something about? But doesn't that say something about the people, right? I mean,
yeah. Well, their status. Argentinians are really. I was just talking to my brother the other day, and I was talking to some of my cousins who go a lot to Argentina, and they're very familiar with Argentina culture, and they're like, man, they're just the vast majority of them are like socialist, communist. It's like, it's honestly really weird that he won. It's really weird that he won.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna throw something out there on that topic. It is weird that he won, and so I'm gonna stand by that. I think they just wanted to end the inflation. I don't think it has anything to do with these ideas. And then the other thing I just wanted to throw out there, it's like, take Biden in the U.S., most popular U.S. president by the vote. Like we don't buy that. Nobody buys that, right?
Right.
And so now, some guy wins the popular vote in Argentina, but he's our guy, and we're now like, oh yeah, now the votes are accurate. For sure, they're accurate this time. There's no manipulation going on now.
No. But wait.
But you just said everyone in Argentina is a statist, and then they voted in somebody.
No,
that's
I'm not
against the
saying no.
state.
See,
It doesn't make
we
sense.
can't use absolutist. We can't use absolutist language here, right?
What do you mean?
Sure, we can.
Has there been an awakening
Sure, we
of
can.
people
We
in Argentina?
are absolute. We're absolutists.
No.
Morally,
there is-
ethically, aren't don't you believe in the universal principles?
Yes, I do. But look, the thing is that there is an awakening happening in Argentina. There
How can you be
is an
sure though?
awakening happening.
How can you be sure?
Because I speak the language, because I interact from people from there, because I watch I've been watching not just the debates, but like this whole cultural movement that has been happening. Not just with
they're all
Milei.
going to be
Milei
dead
is
in
just
10
one
years.
character.
You just said they're all going to be in 10 years because they're all statists.
I'm not a scientist.
line.
I'm not a scientist. So I'm not a scientist. So I'm not sure if they're all going to be dead in 10, 20
No,
years.
I'm
not 100% sure.
They're all
I'm not 100.
They're all sheep.
Sure, yes, but I don't understand. I don't even know what the fuck was in those vials. So I'm not a specialist in that regard. Given what we know, I think that yeah, there's a possibility that we do live in a world where most of the vaccinated people, jab people, are going to be dead in 20 years or 10 years or 5 years, right? Like, given the fact that like our side was right and has been right.
I'm just
No,
trying to
but this is the
reconcile.
thing, man, is that I'm not a one-dimensional thinker. I hold different, the way I think, and if you guys know this about me, I tend to hold opposing ideas in my mind, and I entertain opposing ideas in my mind.
Oh, we
I
all
don't,
do. Sure.
yeah, but I'm not okay. So to say that the vast majority of the people in Argentina were jabbed, therefore there's no way a president that's anarcho-capitalist at heart couldn't have been elected. That's false, because in the United States, there's still a lot of libertarians, and the vast majority of here, people in the United States were jabbed as well. Most of the people in the world were jabbed.
Yeah.
Now, does that mean that things can't change overnight? Yes. Positive and negative contagions happen overnight. We live in an attention-seeking economy with the internet, where, like George Gilder says, the market moves at the speed of thought. Even technology moves at the speed of thought. Ideas now move at the speed of thought. They started bringing Milei in because he was a character. You know, he had his big hair, the way he expressed himself, he was a character. Sure. He got eyeballs. So at first, the Argentinian media weren't taking him serious. He was just a contrarian that was fun to have. He got people hooked. And a lot of us are thinking, like my brother has the opinion that Milei was, he created a character with the big hair, and
for sure.
In his opinion, he was a character to get attention.
Yeah,
but he got the attention.
I don't think so, because he's an old soccer player. He looked to me.
Rock star.
To me, he looks like he's just a typical soccer player.
So he got the attention of the Argentinian media, where they were forced to have him, and when he was up against other economists, Keynesians, socialists, communists, he would school them, and he would make sense, and he started gathering a following, to the point that, like, he's a complete outsider. He created his own political party, his own political movement, and he was not the only one. See, there's other people, other figures in Argentina, in Latin America, and the one that comes to mind is a younger guy who is not an anarcho-capitalist, conservative, but along the same lines. His name is Agustin Laje. He wrote a book called the new book of the new black book of the left, a very good book. And he also wrote a real good book recently called The Cultural Revolution, and that is the Cultural Battle, and that's a badass book. Hopefully it comes out in English soon. So it's not just like, there's a lot of like libertarian intellectuals coming out of Argentina, coming out of Latin America, that are hitting things from different perspectives. Milei just happens to be one of this wave of thinkers, and he's good at debate, and he's more, in a lot of ways, he's more catchy than Trump is. He's more witty, right?
Absolutely, he's a good showman.
He's very witty, yeah. So he's great to have on TV, and he won a lot of people over.
He's literally a showman. He's like in terms of that metric, he's like Trump times 10.
Yeah.
I like him. I like the guy. Now, is he going to bring, turn Argentina into Ancapistan? He's not supposed to. No politician's supposed to bring about Ancapistan. Ancapistan happens grassroots. Did Uber ask permission? No, they just went to every city, and the cab cartel got pissed off. So they got kicked out of every city, and they just kept going. So like that's the thing. We bring about anarchy.
Is there a term? Sorry to interrupt you on this. I just want to try to keep it to a certain topic area. But the what are the terms in Argentina? Is it 4 years?
4 years, yeah.
So, and then there's another election, of course. So what do you think he could get done in 4 years? And do you think that let's just see what
education, guys. Education is the only thing he can get done, is to use that platform to educate. That's it. And that's the most important thing. What he does from the political realm doesn't matter. Politics and politicians don't give us our freedom. Yeah. Satoshi Nakamoto did not ask for permission. Like, we don't ask for permission as innovators. We just put it out into the market and let the market wrestle with it. And so what is he doing? He's just promoting these ideas. That's it. That's all we need. All we need is this. That's all.
The press is already sort of like zeroing in on certain areas, like was it like organ transplants or something?
Yes. He promotes the free trade of organs.
Yeah, and so an Ancap is like, that's obvious, right? But the press is going to hone in on these kinds of things that are on the line for the average person, and so I'm wondering, do you think like that kind of thing is what I'm saying is, when they say they try to portray Ancaps as bomb throwing, gun toting, right-wing extremists, Nazis, etc. That's in every video of that has to do with libertarians and Ancaps.
Pretty much.
And
Nazis, right? That's what they go for right away, especially the left. Oh, you guys are just Nazis. You guys are fascists.
Can they convincingly portray narco-capitalism under his regime as those things?
Yes, I vote yes.
They tried already.
Let me just float a scenario.
They tried already, and they lost.
Where did they lose?
Because they were trying to portray him. The Argentinian media were trying to portray him as a Nazi, a right-wing extremist. Yeah. And so right away he's like, "What do you mean a Nazi? How dare you?" And so he just sued everyone, everyone in the media. He sued everyone, and they all have to pay him now and publicly apologize. Yes, and the whole thing with Israel, the whole thing why he's like, oh, and I go to a rabbi, he's my friend, and the rabbi I go to for counsel. Yeah, like, to me, dude, if I were a politician, the only way to get along with politics, dude, I'll be friends with a rabbi. You'd see me wearing a yarmulke, shaking hands. Why? Because that is the only way. Let's just be honest.
Hold on. Let's touch on that issue.
It's just the way of the world right now.
That's a really hot issue. That's a hot issue because the Israel conflict is sort of dividing. Well, not really dividing Ancaps. Most Ancaps are sort of against Israel, it seems, from whatever sample I can tap into.
I'd agree.
But to me, the both sides have problems and are complicit in the violence and the conflict and the disagreements, and it's a statist cause, right? We know it's caused by
exactly, and it's just supporting war. Like, why wouldn't you just stay out of it? Why wouldn't you just say, I don't agree with violence, I don't agree with this conflict at all?
Right.
I support the Israel
politics,
faith,
man. That's
the Israel people, but I don't support the
politics.
Well, hold on. Let me add something to this fire. Is that I heard that the Catholic Church opposed him in his campaign.
Yeah. Well, the Catholic Pope, the papacy,
right.
The papacy is very Marxist, very very Marxist. So he went up against you guys saw the Tucker interview, right, where he literally calls out the Pope. Like that's hilarious, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's
like,
right. Yeah.
so he knows where to punch, and
I was like,
and he's just
Jesus
being a
Christ.
politician. He knows where to punch, and he's staying the line. He hits the left where it hurts him the most, because the left right now is in the Vatican, took over the Vatican. So he's hitting the left where it hurts on the in the Christian world. And at the same time, wherever the left will come in and try to say, well, you're nothing but another Pinochet, you're a fascist, you're a Nazi. Well, how can you call me a Nazi when I'm even contemplating converting to Judaism? That's all politics, man. It's all just politics.
Well, but also my point is that, when people are when our group is criticizing him for choosing Judaism, to me it's like, well, the Catholic Church gave me a fuck you, so I need support.
I don't even see this as about a support of a religion. It's the support of the state of Israel. Like, I don't know why we're thinking that he's just supporting the religion.
Well, let me
it's politics, bro.
Let me weigh
it's politics. That's why.
Let me weigh in on this as a devil's advocate, because I agree with you, Mike, in general. But of course, it's the same thing as, why would an ANCAP run for president in the first place?
Yeah, it's incoherent.
But well, it's not quite. It's because from a Latin American point of view, I can see how he would compute the U.S. and Israel as being the closest things in this world to capitalism.
Yep, exactly. And not just that, but also every leftist politician, every leftist, socialist, communist in Latin America is pro-Hamas, where they even remove, like, Venezuela, Colombia, all these ambassadors were moved out of Israel from Latin American socialist countries. So he has to take a stand and say, well, okay, well, I'm completely against what those guys are for. They're communists and they're for Hamas. They're on the Palestinian side, right? That's what he's saying, but he says the word Hamas, right? So I'm going to take the other side. He's just playing politics, dude.
I think an ANCAP would just stay out of it and say that I'm not getting involved.
But he's a statesman. But see, that's the thing, is that he himself will tell you that, practically speaking, in his practical life, he's not an ANCAP. He's a minarchist.
Right.
Yes, he's a libertarian. In his philosophical life, in his personal philosophical ideals, he's an ANCAP.
Yeah.
Right.
Sort of like a Ron Paul dichotomy.
Yeah, exactly. That's the only way to operate in politics.
Yeah, it seems like everybody in the practical sphere says to themselves, well, the world is just not ready for capitalism.
But it's not about the world. It's about the individual that receives the message.
No, I'm making a few leaps in logic there, but it is about that. It's about, to me, say, well, if we're going to try to improve this world through politics, even though we're ANCAPs,
right?
It sounds funny.
Pardon?
That sounds funny. Improve the world through politics. I mean,
well, but that's what Millet is trying to do.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, but at the same time, see, this is the thing, guys. I'm repeating myself again. Politics is not the end. The end is to use the political platform to educate. The Young Americans for Liberty, Students for Liberty in the United States, these are awesome libertarian organizations that are ANCAP at heart. But where are they? They're located in college campuses.
But what I'm saying,
donate to them.
I get it.
They provide events for kids.
But doesn't that speak to my point that the world is not ready for actual anarcho-capitalism?
I think the world.
I think so, and I don't think the people voted for an ANCAP. I don't think that's why
Raphael, what I'm trying to say is that the fact that he feels that he has to go this, even though he's philosophically an ANCAP, the fact that he feels that practically to get anywhere, we have to go through the political means, right? I'm deducing from that, saying, well, I guess he, like a lot of people, he believes that the world is not ready for anarcho-capitalism in the real sense yet.
Yeah, that's implicitly what he's saying.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Right.
You're right.
I mean, I think to an extent, if he can stop inflation there, then like that, the inflation and debt spiral is something that the whole planet is dealing with and struggling with. And if he can make the tiniest improvement there, like the whole world could be like, oh, look what they're doing there. Maybe we should look into this more. So I mean, just the effect of this could be huge if he gets anything done. Whether he
Yeah,
will or not,
and
that's up for debate.
Right. And
right,
Yeah.
and
I
you're
just
not
wanna-
just talking about, yeah,
sorry, I
you're
just
not
wanna-
just talking about the dollar. You're talking about opening the floodgates to competing currencies, and that's like crypto
Yeah.
right there. So
Well, he was saying in one interview I saw, he was saying that what they plan to do is they plan to redeem 2/3 of the peso money supply for dollars.
Hmm.
And so the guy asked him, well, how are you going to finance that? And he didn't really answer it very well. But I went in on the internet and I found, that they have about $19 billion in foreign exchange reserves. They have about $4 billion in gold reserves. So that's $23 billion right there. Their annual GDP is about 500 billion a year, or at least it was last year. Their tax revenue right now, in the last 12 months, 100 billion, right? Their expenditures are almost 100 billion too. So they're not like a big deficit expending. I think their deficit is rated into like 2 to 5% of GDP for most years, going back to the last 10 years or so. But anyway, so they've got about 35. They got 12 trillion pesos outstanding in M1. So what does that translate into for dollars? That's $35 billion. So he plans to redeem 2/3 of those for dollars. So they need about 25 trillion. So they've got that in foreign exchange reserves and gold reserves. So they can do that. They could if I'm sure their foreign exchange reserves are mostly dollars, right? So
right.
so they could probably do that. They could probably redeem 2/3 of the money supply for dollars that way. So, in terms of just to speak to your point, Rafael, they're going to open it up to other currencies too. I think that's the sense I get from what he's saying. But the reason that the dollarization gets so much press is because I think that's what they can redeem the pesos for themselves. They don't have access to Bitcoin, or they'd have to go buy it, or right, and they only have 4 billion in gold reserves. So it makes sense for them to if they're going to get rid of the central bank, to redeem the pesos in dollars. But they're going to use the central bank for that too. So they're not going to get rid of. Sorry,
sorry to interrupt. I'm having trouble understanding that concept. I watched that video too. So if I'm Argentina and I have pesos and I'm going to redeem them for dollars, so I'm doing a trade.
Well, the central bank will give you dollars for your pesos.
But where's the central bank getting those dollars from?
It has them in foreign exchange reserves. So I think they could pull that off without any great, financing scheme, just based on what they have. So it's interesting, but I don't know if they'll be able to get rid of the central bank. I mean, obviously he wants to use the central bank for this, so they're not going to just get rid of the central bank. But
it would be the central bank that would facilitate that transition. Right. So these foreign reserves would be sold. The gold reserves would be sold. The central bank would collect the proceeds from those sales in dollars. And then they would make a deal with everyone in Argentina. They'd have like some sort of exchange rate and be like, you give me so many pesos and I'll give you so many dollars. And then we'll just close shop and walk and go away. That's not possible, is it?
Sure it is.
But so the central bank would have to facilitate the whole thing because Milei tells them to.
The central bank is a government act. It's a legislated act, right?
And they seem to copy a lot of U.S. institutions. So they have a central bank and they have the national treasury. So the central bank doesn't really have to run this. The treasury is taking over. The government is taking over that central bank and absorbing it. That's the way I would see it.
Yeah, it could be.
And because the central bank is at least in the US, it's run by its own people, its own private owners. It's not a government entity. So I would imagine it's probably pretty similar there. And that's one of the main problems with central banking. It's not even something that the government has control over.
No, it's a shared interest. The
Yeah.
government has an interest, the banking cartel has an interest, Wall Street has an interest, and all the big cronyized industries have an interest.
I guess my question
So-
is there a precedent? Has this happened before?
No.
That's the thing. So look, one of the and aside from that, the
But
biggest
exchanges
like,
have been dollarized
takeaway.
before. So sorry, I just want to really understand this.
Yes,
They've been
Ecuador
dollarized.
did
You're
that,
right.
yes.
El Salvador
Ecuador.
did do this. El Salvador did this.
Ecuador also dollarized.
And Ecuador
And
did it.
Didn't
Too.
Zimbabwe dollarize too?
Yes, but they're trying to get away from the dollar by offering those gold-backed tokens.
Yeah, later on. I'm just trying to understand in those cases, is that what happened? That the foreign reserves were sold, the gold
No.
reserves are sold?
No, not well. I don't know about El Salvador or Ecuador, but in Zimbabwe's case, no, it was just the black market currency just ended up being there. Yeah, in Zimbabwe,
Communists are very sneaky. Communists and socialists are very sneaky, and they work in tandem throughout the world. They really work well together because they're leeches. They're just teaching each other how to be leeches. But what I think is the most important thing that Milei has been able to do is to change the consciousness of how you achieve prosperity in Latin America. Communists have done a very good job in every single Latin American country to instill the idea that the reason why the West has been so successful, and specifically the United States, that the reason why the United States has been so successful, this is the implicit idea that they feed people.
Yes.
They tell them that the United States has been
Imperialism,
successful
blatant.
because it's a country that is very regulated. That is a lie. The reason why the United States is successful and has been successful throughout history is because it's been the freest place, the freest market in the world.
But
Or, like,
yeah.
but
You're right.
I can
you're
start
right.
a look. Like people can talk shit about the U.S. all they want, but I can start an LLC, a corporation before lunch, every day of the week. Before lunch, I can go set up the paperwork, set up the bank account, and by the time I come back after lunch. I pick up the paperwork at the bank. I have an LLC done. In Latin America, dude, in South America, dealing with banks is fucking horrible, dude. Like, there's so much red tape, man, that to open up. I'll give you guys an example. I was trying to open up a checking account. They didn't even allow me to open up a checking account. They allowed me to open up just a savings account, a personal savings account. And to go through all that process took me 3 months. What the fuck? So like that, the big problem in Latin America is a giant sense of bureaucracy.
Oh, for sure.
And everything takes forever because there is this idea that they have to be like the United States, and that the reason the United States became successful is because the United States is so regulated.
But
that is a lie. That is a lie.
You know where that comes from, though?
No, I don't.
You don't know where that idea, because I grew up with it here, and it's the union side. They started with the factory system in the UK, the Industrial Revolution, and they revised history, and they made it out as if the factory system is basically what saved the masses from extinction in the UK. They had overpopulation and so on, right? We know that the factory system came along and employed people instead of letting them starve. And we know that before the factory system, that the only production that existed was aimed at pleasing the kings and the nobility, right? It wasn't there. The system of production wasn't aimed at the masses until the factory system came along.
Right.
And but because of because the unions look back at that and they go, oh, the conditions were terrible. We forced the children into the factories. Oh, that's a bunch of shit. But the mentality, what they're teaching us is that what they replaced that with is that it wasn't until the unions started regulating the factory system that has started to produce the middle class and wealth. And so I grew up in this mindset where this public school system was teaching me that well, capitalism is a necessary evil, but it has to be regulated.
Yeah.
And it has to be regulated not because capitalists necessarily can't be trusted per se, but yeah, in a sense that for that reason, because we must maintain. They sold themselves as pro-market in the sense that we want to just improve the integrity of the marketplace, right? So it's like, so I grew up thinking, well, that's what regulators were for. Regulators were for not just, you know, to protect consumers per se, as they claim, and most people think, I guess, but also just to preserve the integrity of the market system, right? And which I loved. And so I thought, well, that was a great idea. The regulators want to, you know, they're just trying to make the market better, right?
Guys, this is the first time in Latin American history that I've ever heard of a president, now elect, talk about reducing the size of government. I've never once in my life have heard any.
I've never heard any government.
That's, and so how do you mean?
Not
You know,
even
this
Trump.
is what the problem that
Not
I have
even
with people.
Trump.
It's like
Not even
how
Trump.
is it that you that I see this as such a victory, and I see anarchists say, "Oh, well, he's not pure enough." I'm like, dude, you're missing the point here. Like,
I've got to
like the consciousness throughout Latin America again is that the way to be successful is to regulate more, to grow government more. That's the way that they think that the United States became successful. The reality is the complete opposite, and Milei has been able to shine light to that reality in a way no one else has in history.
I know. I want to just jump off this idea. So I think we have a situation, right? We were talking about Latin America. We're talking about how they're, you know, inherently socialist, inherently communist. We have this beacon of
No. They're not inherently socialist. They're not inherently communist. It's just that communists themselves are very sneaky motherfuckers, and they know how to subvert cultures. They know how to subvert people, and they go into the educational systems and they brainwash people. But out in the free market, out in the market, Argentina's very Ancap as it is right now as a country. The blue dollar, the way they trade, the way they move in their real life, in their actual life, is through a gray and black markets. That's the only way that they can survive. So it's not, no, they're the opposite of, no, when it comes to having a nation state, when it comes to having a government, when it comes to actually doing business out in the open, they have been like, you know, like Ed explained already, they have been confused and lied to about this idea that the regulators are necessary.
Right.
That bureaucracy is important and necessary. And Milei has come in and has literally shooken up that false narrative and he's been able to give people a complete new narrative of less government is better. Actually, no government is better at all. But if we need government, since people are not ready, we'll just have a minarchy, little government as possible.
I just want to inject this idea, though. I just got to get this idea out.
Yeah.
We have this scenario going on where there's this change happening, being led by Argentina in Latin America. You know, all the things you say, sure. I'm saying if he starts moving forward with this, okay, and it's almost like everyone in Latin America is looking to what happens in Argentina, you know, and maybe this is going to shift the mindset of those people. This is where I see there could be a potential problem, because if Milei takes it in a way and everyone's looking at it, oh, can an ANCAP, can a libertarian make it better? And if he doesn't, if it fails on any way, wouldn't the people just go, oh yeah, I guess that's right, it wouldn't work, we should go back to our old ways?
They're dumb.
Can I interject? Can I interject, Rafael, before you answer that question? Yeah. Let me just share a screen here on related to that question, because I asked, can you guys see that?
Yep.
Yeah, sure.
So I asked this on Twitter yesterday, just a 24-hour poll, got about 1,100 views, 120 votes. And I just asked, assuming that he is controlled opposition, right? regardless that he is there, are the Argentine people going to be better or worse off under him? Right. So just to, I mean, I know there's sample bias here because my feed is full of libertarians, but 66% said better and 34% said worse.
Yeah, I mean, inherently, Mike's question is not even a libertarian one, because your question implicitly, you know, looks to what government can do or could do in the case of what Milei could accomplish through government. He is up against a machinery of theft that has existed for
in
a
Mike's
good
defense,
100 years in Argentina, right?
In Mike's defense, there is stuff that he can do to improve the
Right.
situation, which is reduce government, like you say.
Yeah,
right?
but if anyone that hears the message of liberty understands that in reality there's nothing no politician can do to better your situation, period. And
But
that
they
the
can.
moment you wait around,
They can.
at
They
the
can
no,
reduce government.
you're already lost. If you're an Ancap and you're waiting around for a politician to do something for you,
That's
already
not what
lost.
I'm saying, though. Yeah, but that's not what I'm saying.
Sure.
I'm just saying.
Then what are you saying?
I am not waiting around for anybody to do anything for anybody.
Right.
Right. I'm just saying
Sure.
that there is something he can do, which is reduce government. And if he reduces government,
well, let's wait to hopefully he does that.
Yes. So that's what Mike is saying. So
yeah,
if he reduces government, then there's improvement, right? If it doesn't, then
yeah. But there's going to be.
I would counter that. I would say that the best thing he could do is what he already has begun to do, which is to educate people.
For sure.
That's more important than reducing government. Because let me tell you guys something. Government or no government, big government, little government, tyrannical government, it doesn't matter. What matters is a thriving free market, whether you call it black, gray, or white.
Yes.
We all don't want a red market.
We all agree on that.
Yeah. So it's
but we're talking about how we get there. So no, that's a good point. You know, Rafael, like, I mean, you know, definitely I agree. I 100% agree. Education is the best way to get there. But my question is, can he retard the process, or is he going to help the process?
How can he retard the process?
By fucking it up.
How is he going to fuck it up?
How is he
going to fuck it up?
He is now the example. I'm telling you, he's now the example of the ANCAP libertarian president.
Well, then
people are looking at
the framing of what you're saying and asking at this moment is already you're standing under a very false premise. Everything that you said is standing under a very false premise.
I don't think he is, Ralph.
No, because it's like okay, I'm teaching you this. Hey guys, I'm teaching you this idea. Don't rely on me. And then the next question is, well, Raph, your idea of you not relying on me and the success of it depends on what you do next, Raph. And no. I just told you, don't rely on me. It's on you, buddy. You see?
No, but if you're saying
so it's like it doesn't matter what I do. No, but I just told you, don't rely on me.
Okay, so we
should be relying on yourself.
So we both agree that education is the best way, right? But what Mike is saying is that what if the education is misconstrued? It's not educated properly. What if he's as in his position, he doesn't educate properly?
Misrepresents it.
Instead, misrepresents and people come away thinking that Ancap.
I don't need anyone to represent anarcho-capitalism for me.
Because you know it. You understand it.
See what I mean?
Raph, you understand Ancap. You've been in it for a long time. If what we're talking about today is that the people of Argentina are just coming to these ideas because of Milei. They're just now starting to realize them. And so he is the one that's the face of this movement.
But then he already failed, because you're expecting a whole country that has been indoctrinated for over 100 years into socialism to all of a sudden embrace the ideas of liberty, when the ideas of liberty are completely antithetical to even necessitating some person to be an example.
But he's not
the smartest people in Argentina have already caught on. The second tier of smart people are now cutting on. Yeah. And the stupid will never catch on. That's what you guys have to be comfortable with that idea.
Okay, but Rafael,
low IQ people won't ever catch on.
Rafael, you got to stop saying what Mike is expecting or what I'm expecting, because I don't think Mike is expecting what you said that he's expecting. right?
But,
You know,
but
he's not
there's a
he's not expecting the people to come, all the people to come to liberty. All we're saying is there any way that the ANCAP movement can be set back by his presence? And you're saying no. Fair enough.
no, because the
You're
ANCAP
saying no.
movement, no, not at all, because the ANCAP movement doesn't depend on politics at all anymore. The
No,
ANCAP
but-
movement
No,
is
but that's not what we're saying.
is
No, but-
already freed.
But you're
It's
contradicting
already
yourself,
alive.
Raphael.
How am I
Raphael,
contradicting myself?
Because you're
Tell me.
saying that the reason he's there is to educate people. So he has so you can't just say,
Sure.
okay, well, if you're saying that the ANCAP movement has nothing to do with him, then what's his purpose of being there for capitalism? It doesn't do nothing for us.
There's not really a purpose anymore.
Okay.
Like I don't think he's going to educate more people than what he has already educated. And I think that anything that he does in politics will be counterproductive to the message of liberty, to be completely honest.
So you don't see this as a net positive then?
Yeah.
I see up to this point being very positive that he's elected president. If he uses with wisdom, if he uses the platform with wisdom, he can use his platform as president to educate more.
Yeah.
So to now rely
that's not
on
a guarantee.
him,
That's the point. It's not.
But if he can educate more, why can't he educate less?
That's exactly right. I agree. It's a net
Yeah, he
positive
could do
at
that.
this point, but we're talking. I'm speculating in the future. We're all very hopeful that he's going to continue down this path. But if he doesn't, is that not just going to hurt this movement? Because all these people that just got brought in are now going to
Then
be
he should just quit.
Enchanted.
That's what I said. The best thing he could do is drop out right now.
Right. I agree. I agree.
Just,
So
hey guys, politics is
agree.
over. It's stupid.
Yeah.
I don't need this.
Well,
So,
I think that's a
waste
moment
of
of
time.
opportunity. I think that's a huge moment of opportunity because I think he's going to try to make big changes and he is just going to get shut down by the bureaucracy.
Hey, babe.
And I think he doesn't give a shit. Like he's willing to die for this and he's just going to call out everyone who shuts him down. And he's going to say, vote him out. He's like, these guys are all in it for personal profit. None of them want actual change. And
I hope.
there's like huge potential for change here. Like
That
it's
would
massive.
be a great show. I hope he puts on that great show.
I want him to
I
put
hope
on
so,
a show
too.
at least. Just call
And if he
him
doesn't
out.
put on a show, we'll call him out. We will call him out.
We
Fuck it.
will.
Like,
Yeah, we will.
it
sure.
is what it is, you know.
Sounds good. So basically it's good news, but it's downhill from here probably.
Yeah.
We're hoping
not.
for a good show. We're hoping for a good.
There you go.
entertainment.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, the whole thing about him being pro-vax, I mean, I don't like it. I think it's stupid. But he would have never have gotten the platform to speak the message of liberty if he wasn't pro-vax.
Yeah, maybe.
If he wasn't pro-Israel, he would have never gotten the platform either. You have to understand, the Israeli lobby runs Israel as well. The Israeli lobby
But they also
runs
run the
Mexico.
central bank. They also run the central
They
bank.
run the central. Of course they
So,
do.
but he didn't.
So it's like,
he didn't have a problem saying "fuck you" to the central bank or
Exactly.
to everything else. So
I
why?
mean, I
yeah.
mean, like I think we already established, right, that like Argentina is so fucked economically that
Yeah.
it doesn't. It's like that machinery of theft has run its course. Enter the Federal Reserve, give more life to the Federal Reserve in the U.S. and prolong that machinery of theft even longer.
Yeah, and then the
That's
U.S.
really
will be
what's going on.
stealing from them too. We should tell them that.
Okay,
The
so
most important thing is crypto. That crypto really takes off in Argentina. That's what I really hope for.
Yeah, I'm with
that
you.
would be wonderful. That would
I'm
be
with you on
wonderful,
that.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's good news there, I guess. So I mean, it can't get worse, right? So let's wrap this up. But I want to give you guys all a chance. Do you want to say anything before we wrap this up?
I had a thought
Thank
in
you
my
for
mind.
having me.
Sure.
Like for me, the biggest issue is the idea of legal tender laws. If you read Hayek, you get illuminated on the subject, and clearly Millet has read a lot of Hayek, and if he does something along the lines of banning legal tender laws in the country, I mean that like just allowing competition of currencies, like, yeah, okay, we're gonna buy back most of our pesos, we're gonna stop inflating, and we're just gonna like kind of maybe peg to the dollar, which is not an ideal solution, but I mean, that's what people there understand. And eventually you can do other things. But if at the same time he says, but you can use gold and Bitcoin and crypto and you can use whatever currencies you guys want. Because, you know, he said Argentina won't do business with communist countries, but the people can do whatever they want.
Yeah, he did say that.
And
yeah,
so
he did say that, right? Yeah.
So for me, the biggest fight against the state is just getting rid of the idea of legal tender, getting rid of the idea that people believe that because they have a US dollar, they owe some sort of loyalty to our US government. Like, just get rid of that idea and see what happens. Like, I'm really excited about that. So that's the most exciting part for me.
Good point, Josh. Yeah. Well,
I just want to say it was great chatting with you guys. You know, I'd like to be hopeful, but I think my skepticism definitely came out today. But we'll see how it goes.
I think he totally surprised me, and he's an interesting guy. I don't know what to think about, you know, his history and whether he's a deep state agent or not. But I can't see how this could be bad for the Argentinians. It's going to be rough though, but I can't see how it can be worse than what they've gone through. So, Rafael?
So don't you guys think that like this is showing us like a window into the future where politicians have to now speak the language of liberty to even pay for people to even pay attention to?
I agree.
I think that's a net positive for the whole world, you know?
I think that Raph and I might be a little biased because I feel like everyone in our generation in the US is just like, fuck the government in every way. And so seeing something like this happen, if we can get some success from it, it'll spread like wildfire.
Yeah. I mean, you know, even if he is let's assume he's a deep state agent, just the fact that they had to go out and find somebody who could speak this language of libertarianism in order to get elected, right? That shows that the deep state is on defense. So
exactly.
There's a change 100%. For sure. There's definitely a change.
Exactly.
Huge.
100%. Because let's be honest, guys, the deep state is not getting the brightest in the world right now. Like if Steve Jobs were alive right now, he would not be able to hire the brightest of devs. The brightest of devs, why would they go work for a boomer Apple company and worry about shares when they can create a badass protocol on chain and become literally like a millionaire or billionaire within the next 3 months?
Yeah,
it makes no sense. So the brightest in the world already left the boomer system. Yeah. If you go on TikTok, like I shared an article from Zero Hedge, kids the age of like your daughter, Ed, are like, why am I going to college, getting in debt, kids, people.
But we're going to open up
full stop.
But you're opening up. You're opening up.
Never mind. I'm not going to use that example. I'm just saying, people in general, the smartest of people, no matter where they are in their life, they're stopping full stop, and they're saying, I've had enough of this debt-based system. This is bullshit. And 100%. Why am I doing this? Why am I going to a job I hate when I can literally go online and work from home, work from anywhere? And the smartest of people already realize, hey man, I don't even have to go to another country. I don't even have to go to college. I can just join the on-chain economy and like start making, consumer goods, capital goods on chain. So even migration's already changing. Like you don't have to leave your country to go to a first world country anymore. You go to any city now.
Careful. You're making the deep state guys very nervous with that talk.
Yeah, but like you go to the infrastructure. Look at the infrastructure of every single city.
Yeah.
None of that infrastructure. You don't have to migrate to be part of some capital market elsewhere. Yeah. That infrastructure of those buildings, that subway system, that I could be living in the country and I have as much access to the fastest emerging markets in the world from my cell phone. So I don't need their infrastructure anymore.
Yeah.
We've completely left the plantation. And that's the thing you
never really did need the government's infrastructure, because most of the stuff, like if you think about it, the roads the infrastructure that they build, the roads they connect, consumers to the Walmarts of the world. They're really subsidizing the Walmarts of the world. They're subsidizing the car manufacturers by building the roads, and so on, right? People think that they disconnect from those interests, right? When the government says we're going to build you infrastructure for you, right? People don't understand all the interests behind that.
Yeah.
Look, Ed, right now, some kid watching this in Argentina could literally open up their laptop, and if he's really good at design, he could start designing tennis shoes. And let's say he designs a different series, a number series, and each number, it's like one of a kind, two of a kind. He goes all the way to like 30,000, and 30,000th number is 30,000th of those shoe brands, and they're all NFTs. He can start selling those NFTs right now on chain before he even, and then once he pre-sells the shoes as NFTs, and then once he has the money, he can literally start manufacturing those shoes and sell them to the people that claim them through the NFT, and a secondary market can emerge. Like right now, we live in a world where Nike and Adidas can be outcompeted in the open market by just a couple kids somewhere.
I hope so.
Like,
That
But
would
they
be
how
still,
great.
they
fast
still
the
need
world
the
is gonna
roads.
change.
They still need the roads and
still need the
infrastructure
roads.
to build the shoes and ship the shoes.
That's fine.
Yeah, but the government doesn't have to provide them. So.
No, they don't. And
Yeah, we can build our
I
own
totally
roads.
agree.
So let's stop it there, guys,
Sure,
in the
yeah.
interest of time. And I really appreciate everybody's time. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Good talk.